Welcome back. We have in focus Laurie A. Watkins, author and political strategist. She is the former President Obama's policy advisor. Thank you so much for joining us on our show. Laurie, first of all, I would like your initial comments on the negotiations that lasted more than almost 21 hours. And it was after decades that Iran and the United States had direct talks. There were indirect exchanges. There were trilaterals also. So what do you make of it? Although there has been no deal struck yet, but would you call them successful?
Greetings to your viewers. Thank you for having me on your program. While I am disappointed that more meat on the bones did not come out of the first initial round of talks, and I'm calling them that because the technical delegation as well as the Iranian delegation is still here in Islamabad, along with Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and the United States technical delegation. So they are here, which means this is incredibly important that they know they have to get some sort of deal done, that they have to come home with something. And they're not going to leave until that happens. Now, some of the sticking points that both sides have had relate to the Strait of Hormuz, right, the complete opening that the U.S. wants without any toll fees that the Iranians have. They're already charging cargo ships to go through there. They have floated the idea of $2 million. I don't know if they're going to set up a toll booth at the strait, if that's what their plan is, but that is non-negotiable for the United States, as well as the United States says it's non-negotiable about them having any ability to become a nuclear power.
All right.
And so,
right, Laurie. You can complete if you want to complete that sentence.
No, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So, yes, there was no deal struck. But what we heard of J.D. Vance while leaving and he was doing a press briefing, it looked as if they will still talk, although he said that we've given the best offer that we can, and it is now up to Iran whether they accept it or leave it. In case Iran does not accept the offer that is supposed to be the best offer given by the United States of America, do we see more negotiations, some flexibility on the United States side, or do you see more escalation?
There has to be more flexibility by the United States. You don't go into a negotiation and at the start say, this is what we propose, and if you don't abide by this, then we're walking away. Because that's not a negotiation. You have to have give and take by both sides.
Right.
So I think the United States made it very clear where there was potentially some flexibility. The Iranians made some concessions and that they were willing to be flexible in certain areas. And I think that's why we're hearing this chatter about the possibility. I know these are rumors, and I've confirmed that they are rumors, that the Pakistani prime minister is on his way to Saudi Arabia, and that there potentially could be a Pakistani-Saudi monitoring of ships going into the strait, and that they're going to observe and monitor and basically shepherd them through that. Again, I'm hearing that that's a rumor, but there are ideas like that that could be coming about that involve our allies, especially our intermediaries and I'm a guest of Pakistan right now, and so many other international journalists are as well that are here, and people from delegations. So we will see if they want to play that role or not, but those are rumors that are going around, and I take that as a positive thing because that means that they are interested in flexibility, and there are conversations going on that could involve some of these initial non-negotiables that came out in the press conference when J.D. Vance left, and some of the graphics that you're seeing strewn across international media of U.S. wanted this in this column, Iran wanted this, and they didn't make a deal.
Right.
Well, that's how deals are done, is you try to meet somewhere in the middle. But both sides have to have the will to come together.
Okay. When you look at the Iranian delegation that had come to Pakistan to mediate for the talks with the United States, it was a high-powered delegation. You got people and specialists from the education side. You got, from the science and technology side, their military, their politics, their parliament. And so it meant that, these are all the issues that in totality they wanted some sort of negotiations and agreements on issues that have been sticking point between Iran and the United States. Do you think that the United States find this delegation far less radical, as America terms it, then the previous supreme leader and the entire leadership that has been assassinated in the conflict with Iran by the United States?
I don't think I can make that assessment fairly, because there were concessions that were made that the president of Oman said after that 48 hours went by. He was there, present in those negotiations with Witkoff and Kushner. I'm talking about the 48 hours before the United States and Israel launched the attacks on February 28th, March 1st into Iran.
Right.
He clearly said that is not true. The Iranians did not say, we don't agree to any of this and this is why you decided to bomb them. They actually had made concessions and said they were interested in making a deal, kind of in the position that we're at now, that both sides were going to go back to their respective delegations, work with intermediaries, try to find some diplomacy here. That is not what happened. Israel and the United States attacked Iran. I think that Iran understands now that it has more leverage with the Strait than it does with nuclear.
Oh.
And I think that that's an opportunity for everybody, that Iran realizes that. So that part I will say. But there was never any regime change. And now the administration over the last week, including Pete Hegseth, has said, this has been a complete regime change. No, it has not. Replacing a father with a son who is more hardlined, and with people that were assassinated, with members of the IRGC who are more, want to be more oppressive and more violent towards the United States or the West. That, to me, puts the United States in a more difficult position. And maybe, perhaps, the United States is realizing that.
Well, the recent statement by President Donald Trump on Truth for Social, where he says that there you have it, the meeting went well, most points were agreed to, but the only point that really mattered was nuclear, was not effective. So he says that he has ordered the American Navy, one of the finest in the world. It will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. So this is pure escalation now. If you read the entire statement, it looks like as if, and God forbid, the temporary ceasefire is not going to stay that way, probably, I don't know. But ordering the Navy to completely do this, do you think that, from his side, all sort of diplomacy is now over because a deal was not struck?
I don't know how that's possible. And talks that I am hearing from people here on the ground who are pretty knowledgeable, I trust their opinions and their insight.
Right.
They say that the UN Security Council, if they come at this and the United States does not join, and the United States, specifically Donald Trump, decides we're only going to go at this alone, then the United States loses and they're out. And guess who benefits? Everybody else, except for the United States. And the United States companies, the United States cargo ships, etc. And so if the UN Security Council, that includes the Brits, includes the French, includes everybody else that has, so far, Australia, has said we are not going to, clean up the mess that you started, Donald Trump.
Right.
Then that could be a sticking point. The United States, I think, would feel pressure to oblige by that.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your time. And that was Laurie Watkins, political strategist, former President Obama's policy advisor as well. So that's about it. इसी के साथ प्रोग्राम का वक्त ख़त्म होता है, लेकिन देखना है कि सदर ट्रंप की जानिब से ट्रूथ फॉर सोशल पे जिस किस्म की स्टेटमेंट दी गई है, उससे मामलात मज़ीद ख़राब होते नज़र आ रहे हैं. क्या पाकिस्तान एक सालसी की तरह, एक फैसिलिटेटर की तरह एक बार फिर अपनी डिप्लोमेसी के जौहर दिखाते हुए दोनों अतराफ़ को किसी तरह से काम डाउन करता है, और ताकि 21 अप्रैल तक ये सीज़ फायर भी रहे और इस बीच में जिस हद तक एग्रीमेंट हो सकती है हो, और आगे मज़ाकरात का अमल जो है वो कंटिन्यूड रहे. दैट्स ऑल फॉर टुडे. इजाज़त दीजिए. अल्लाह हाफ़िज़.